So they were walking in the forest and Ramchandraji's feet just turned. That's where we stopped, right? Where did they turn to? So the first time we saw that, there was that, what was his name? That student. We saw him already, no? What was his name? And he took him to Agastya Muni's ashram. Shat. Yeah, something with that his name was. Will I find it? And then the second time it happens, his feet just turned and he's walking to Shabri's ashram. Shabri's story is probably one of the sweetest in all of the Puranas, not just the Ramayana. I think you'll have all heard Shabri's story before. Shabri gets used as an example in the Gita. Actually, there's a very controversial verse in chapter 9. It says, even women can get moksha. And this word even causes a lot of upset. And it says even Shudras can get moksha. Shudra is a caste of people who are, well, in today's world, it's understood differently. It's considered people who are not learned. But actually what Shudra means is they prefer not to make decisions. So there's those who are like eager beaver types that they want to always call the shots and, listen to me, let's do it this way. And then there's those who are like, yeah, tell me what to do and I'll do it. And then when problems come along, it's not my fault, it's your fault. So Kshatriya is the first one, the eager beavers who want to control everything, and Shudra is the second one. And actually, you cannot function without both. You have to have someone listening. You cannot have everyone being a leader. In groups where everybody is a leader, it's a nightmare. And in groups where nobody takes charge, it's also a nightmare. So really, there's a purpose for each personality type. So today, the caste system is very misunderstood. It's become labels associated with birth and family lineage, but it was meant to be about personality types. Because Shabri gets used as an example of a Shudra and a woman that was able to get moksha or reach that highest state of abode. But actually, if you see Shabri, she's Brahmana. Like a Brahmana's personality type is one that's heart is so soft that it will melt seeing anyone suffer. That's what a Brahmana's personality type is. And so if we see the story of Shabri as a young child, she gets back home one day and there's these goats and these chickens and these, what else would they be? Peacocks also. They eat peacocks also. All these birds, all these animals were tied up to her, like wood or the tree or something. And she got so excited seeing so many animals, like so many goats. And then she was playing with them and she got so excited to play with the chickens and then she asked her mom, like, how come we got so many more pets? Like, how come we've collected all these pets? And her mom said, it's because it's your cousin's wedding. And then she realizes it's because they're going to be cooked for the wedding. That's why they've been collected. And her heart just melts. She can't bear the thought of killing all these creatures. That's Brahmana. Today we think of Brahmana as someone who's very learned. They know all the names like Trivedi, which literally means they've memorized 3 Vedas. And there are still people who have memorized the Vedas, and it's phenomenal that they can do that. And there's still people who can, quote sections of Upanishads or Puranas, and it really is phenomenal. Their memory capacity really is phenomenal. But the thing about knowledge, if it gives us power, and then it can also give us a sense of arrogance. And the minute there is somebody who has knowledge and arrogance has crept in, they no longer Brahmana. Because the most important quality of Brahmana is this humility and this wanting nothing from it. So they will, happily teach the whole day, and then the people run out and they're happy. There's no, actually very few people can be Brahmanas. It's that heart that is just so giving, so accepting. And then, of course, there's varying degrees. We all work in progress. And then you're predominantly forgiving, predominantly humble, predominantly heart melts. They'll just do, right? Like, so a Brahmana who would have become a doctor, and then the person can't afford the surgery, they'll just do it anyways. A student can't afford the fees, they'll still teach them anyway. It's like, one of the reasons I don't sell books is because somebody will say, oh, I don't have the money for the book. It means they have enough money. They just didn't bring it that way. Okay, never mind it. It doesn't work, right? If you're selling in a bookstall, or if you're selling, and you can't be like, just take it. Because then you have to have the mindset of, like, actually make more money from them. If you're interested in this book, what about this one? And what about this one? And what about this one? And there are people who are so effective in doing that, right? Like you walk into the shop and you didn't intend to buy so many things, but they did such a good job of selling you so many things. And then you're like, you get home and you're like, where am I going to even keep all this? Like, why did I listen to that? So Shabri proof that even Brahmanas and, even Shudras and women can get moksha. She's proof that our caste system is wrong. She totally deserves to be Brahmana. And then she wasn't at all learned, She couldn't read and write. So forget memorizing the Veda. She couldn't read and write. But so pure was her heart that Ramchandraji's feet turned to go to see her. So pure is her heart that amongst the whole Ramayana, Shabri will never be forgotten. Like, who's that student? We forgot his name. Even some great rishis, like which rishi's ashram did Ramchandraji go to? Half the people don't remember Shatrughan's name, Bicharo. And Shatrughan's wife's name the most. It's one of the tough Balvihar quiz questions when you want to see which kid really paid attention. Shabri's name is known. Even somebody who's not very well versed with Ramayana, Shabri's name is known. Even in all the bhajans we sing, Shabri's name comes. That very famous bhajan that every single kid learns how to sing. Kaun kehta hai Bhagavan khate nahi bela Shabri ke jaise khilate nahi. So popular she is. She's in the most popular bhajan. It's one of the Swamis in the mission said he went to this show. It was like a free talent show. And there was 30 kids performing. And so they were all different. Everyone practiced at home and came to perform. And 24 of them performed this song. It's like something about this song that everybody sings this song. Okay, so let's do the story because it's such a beautiful story. So she ran away from home because her mom said, but how can you collect so many animals for my sister's wedding? And her heart was thinking, don't kill so many animals. But the mom misunderstood. The mom misunderstood and thought, oh, she's getting jealous that her sister's getting married and getting more attention. So the mom said, for your wedding, I'll collect double. Thinking that now, she won't be sad that the sister's getting all the attention. And Shabri's heart broke and thought, if getting married means so many animals have to die, I'm not getting married. Imagine the resolve, huh? Like sometimes, you want to do something and you think, no, that's not good. It's like when we download these things on the phone and you think, better not give them all the rights to all the information. Then you just really need to use the app and you like click OK and like we give in. We want something and we just give in. Not that we're doing something immoral, but our better judgment tells us don't give all the information to this, just these random companies, and still we'll do it. But Shabri didn't compromise. Imagine a young girl, an idea of marriage would be seeming romantic. Most young girls, the idea of marriage seems romantic. Not necessarily the full maturity to know what it entails, but it looks romantic. So much fuss is made about it. But she's so clear of it's not worth, however beautiful it might be, it's not worth killing these lives. So she runs away. And, different life brings us to where we need to be in whichever way it brings us there. Like Tulsidas Ji fought with his wife and it got him where he was. Shabri ran away from home to save the animals. And whatever the event is just a precursor to what actually needs to happen. And what needed to happen in Shabri's life, she was meant to meet Matunga Rishi. Matunga Rishi lived in an ashram in on the outskirts of the forest, and he ran a gurukul. Gurukul means young boys from the age of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 would come there and study for any amount of time. And then they'd go back home after they finished study. It was usually young boys, already at this point in time. Girls went to Gurukul actually. They went? Yeah, they went. But Matunga Rishis didn't have girls. Because he didn't have a wife. She knows the full scoop. There were definitely no girls in Matunga Rishi's ashram. But yes, it would make sense that girls went to Gurukul because they were taught the Vedas. I'm not sure how the system worked. Shabri is very intimidated by the students in the ashram because of the caste system, and she's a forest dweller. And so they considered lower, and she didn't feel comfortable or confident, so she would hide from them. And she was used to staying in the forest as a forest dweller, so she lived in the forest. She found her food, and she was able to sleep under the trees and protect herself and bathe in the river. But she was attracted to the ashram, and she was attracted to Rishi Matunga, who was teaching. And she didn't feel like she could go into the ashram, but she desperately wanted to serve him. And so she would wake up very early in the morning and go and clean the ashram and keep everything ready for him. Even, put a few flowers at the altar and keep very, very simple, but notable, right? And you must remember that if the ashram is near the forest, in the morning, it's probably covered with leaves. So even when we studied in the ashram, one of the things was we had to sweep away the leaves from the floor, especially along the pathways. So probably there in the hall where they were teaching, she swept away all the leaves in that area to the side, and then made that where he sat, where the guru sat, she collected some hay and made that area softer. She decorated with flowers. And then she ran away before anyone woke up. And so Rishi Matunga comes and he sees this and he thinks, well, my students are so good that, they're cleaning up before the class and they've got the altar ready and they've got my glass of water ready. And he happily was teaching, thinking his students are doing it for him. Until one day he woke up earlier than normal and he realized it's done and all his students are sleeping. Nobody is awake. So who's doing this? So the next day he woke up early and he waits. He waits to see who's coming in, and he sees Shabri come into the ashram. He watches. He watches her sweep out everything. He watches her put the flowers. He watches her keep the glass of water. So he knows for sure that it's her that's who's doing it. And then before she leaves, he comes out and he asks, who are you? And at first she's so scared, and she, of course, bows down and asks for forgiveness. But he was such a genuinely pure soul. He saw no wrong in what she did. Because actually there's no wrong in what she did. She was doing seva out of bhakti, zero wrong. Although potentially somebody could have scolded her why she came into the ashram. She's not an ashramite. She's from a lower caste. She's a woman, etc., etc. But he doesn't. He doesn't scold her for any of this. He just, he's so intrigued that who is she, that she is done so silently, without even, in his head, he's given the praise to his students who are sleeping. And then she deserves this praise and she didn't even come forward to ask for the praise. And then it's actually incredibly hard not to claim credit for things we do. Even sometimes here in the ashram, it will be a very big, busy day. And then, maybe some cake will come, or this will happen and that will happen. And then I'll think, who sent? I don't know who sent. Who should I thank for this? And then I'll think, oh, they'll tell me. Because without fail, I'll get a WhatsApp message or I'll get a call saying, I left a cake inside. I hope you got it. I hope you liked it. It won't happen that it goes claimed. Because it's so hard. And sometimes they're very shy to say it, but they'll still, you mentioned somebody did that. It's so hard not to want to claim, especially when it's getting praised. Like if it's not getting praised, if it's getting insulted, we'll just hide. I don't know who did that. But if it's getting praised, then it's so hard not to claim it. But she didn't claim it. Shabri didn't have any, there wasn't even a trace of her wanting the acknowledgement of having done. And that in itself shows the Guru that she's such a worthy student. And so he tells her to come and stay in the ashram. And when he does, everybody else is protest. How can you allow her to come and stay in the ashram? And that's still there, and even till today. Like this Ramayana happened in Taittiriya Yuga. And people were upset. But till today, there's so many ashrams where a woman won't be allowed until she is 60 plus. 60 plus only. And you can only pursue spirituality when you reach 60. Like, and I remember there was a story about a Japanese young lady who wanted to go stay in the ashram. And she went from monastery to monastery to monastery asking to be accepted as a student. And the teacher would look at her and say no. And she, like, why? Like, literally, they just look and say no. And then one teacher said to her, it's because you're far too beautiful and you will distract all the other monks. And she goes to the village nearby and takes burning coal and burns her face. And she goes back to the teacher and says, now will you let me join the ashram? What a sacrifice, so that she can study what should be free to everyone. Of course, her glory, that she had that much devotion and vairagya, that her beauty didn't matter to her at all. It was this knowledge that mattered to her. And she was able to sacrifice her beauty in a heartbeat for this knowledge. Usually the story gets told for that message. But it's an injustice that it has to be sacrificed. Even our beauty is given to us by Bhagavan only. So, Shabri states, and then, interesting, that the students in the ashrams get upset that their point of view was not listened to. So it's interesting how we can be so petty. So firstly, something happens that we don't like. So let's say random student in his ashram doesn't want Shabri to be accepted. Now she's accepted. So then criticize the Guru because he did something that we didn't want. And so they started rumors or gossip or ridiculous that he only accepted her because he was enamored, because there was something more to it, because there was, and that's it, it's so easy to assume or to create a rumor, a narrative, and then it's ridiculously how easy people believe it. So, and we do have weaknesses. We most certainly do have weaknesses, and so it's not that it's not a possibility. But the reason for this occurring is because they didn't get what they want. We see this in society again and again. We see it with even great saints like Gyaneshwar Maharaj. Gyaneshwar Maharaj was born. His father had joined the ashram to become a Swami, but then left sannyas to go back to Grahastha, got married and had these kids. The kids were victimized because the father left sannyas. It's not the kids' fault. Okay? But they don't want, or this meanness in us of we don't approve of something, and so we hurt people who are doing what we don't approve of. And it happens in every community, in every society. For us to realize that that sentiment comes from arrogance, because compassion is everybody makes mistakes. The kids definitely shouldn't be victimized. And in this case, sure, people give in to temptation. No doubt about it. People do give in to temptation. But if you're really watching, Shabri was so, Shabri was so devout. So what happens is, the more they gossip, the more the ashram becomes infected with little bugs. And so this is also an interesting thing. When we criticize or condemn or hurt a great person, then the consequences are quite immediate and quite harsh. So little bugs in everybody's room, except Shabri's and the gurus. Because he's not gossiping. And then they get bugged, not knowing why these bugs are coming. So then they, when you're in a rotten mood, you tend to do negative things more. So they gossip more because they're irritable, and more bugs come until there's bugs in even the water. So the water that they have to drink, now they cannot drink because it's filled with so many little bugs. And so then the same guru that they were criticizing and complaining about, they go to him only for solution. And they ask him, what do we do? We cannot drink the water. And he said, if a pure-hearted soul bathes in the water will be clean. And so he says, all of you have been doing tapas and studying the Vedas, so you'll go. And it doesn't work. None of them bathing in the water makes the water clean, until he finally says, Shabri, you go. And then all the students are like, of course, he's going to tell her what to do. The minute Shabri goes into the water's clean. But when people who have become petty and arrogant, then they cannot see. Some people would have seen and thought, oh, and would have stopped. And some people will see and think, he only put the dirt in the water, so he only, something they will come up with. And of course, the story is in hindsight, so we can see Shabri's purity and his purity, and we can see it's the students that were victimizing her. In today's world, what should we do? Don't talk. Even if you think something, you need to talk. You can think it and be quiet. Anyway, everybody else has come for Gurukul. They study for a certain number of years and they leave. Shabri is there with him the entire time. And when he gets really old, he's going to leave. He's been staying alive because he knew that Ramchandraji was coming and a message had to be given to Ramchandraji. But now he's become so old, so he calls Shabri and he tells Shabri, I leave this task to you now. You have to watch the path, and he points out which path it is. One day, Ramchandraji will come. He'll be young and extremely handsome. He will come with his brother Lakshman, who looks white like the clouds, and Ramchandraji looks dark like the rain cloud. And when they come, this is Bhagwan himself who has taken avatar on this earth. So you receive him with all honor. You offer him a rest on his journey. He would have lost his wife Sita. He will be searching for her, and you have to give him the message to go in this direction. So, even before the incident has happened, Matanga Rishi already knew Ramchandraji is going to come, already knew Sitaji was going to be kidnapped, already knew which direction Ramchandraji had to go into. South, we also already know that he has to go south, and that Sitaji is in Lanka. I think he says also, I think I've read that, I'm not 100% sure. And Sitaji is in Lanka. Or sends them to the shores, right? What was the message? To go to Sugriv. I don't think the name of Sugriv was given. Definitely gave a message. Yeah, it could have been to find Sugriv, because then because that's what happens next. Ishkinda, then he must have said. But he points the route, that much I know. So when he gives her this message, Shabri is young, and Rishi Matanga dies, and she is waiting every single day to fulfill this one job. And this dedication with which she follows her Rishi, her Guru's instruction, is incredibly hard. Like, we all get given instructions. And, we can, like Gurudev has written in Self-Unfoldment, do 12 malas of japa every day. Like, so many of us read it and think, like, that's not even gonna happen. We don't even consider it. It's like, But here her instructions is to wait for Ramchandraji. And years and years and years and years go by. And every single day, she cleans the ashram. She collects something for him to eat. The day he comes, it's boar. I'm sure she collected different things every day, depends what's on season and all the rest of it. And she would taste it to make sure it was sweet, keep the ones that were sweet, and throw away the ones that weren't sweet. And so they all had a bite in them. And usually in prasad, you don't bite them. Like if somebody offers you something bitten, we also think, you make face. She'd collect flowers to decorate, she'd clean. And then, this doesn't take that long, right? Anyone who's cleaned up will know it will take max 3 hours. Even you make a garland with the flowers, you decorate, you clean. Then for the rest of the day, she would sit looking at the road from which her guru said Ramchandraji would come. And wait. He's going to come. Night would come, she'd clean up a little bit, she'd eat a little bit, she'd go to sleep. Next morning, the whole thing again. The next day again, she'd look at the road. We can imagine, no, after a while, we'll be busy doing something, playing Sudoku, playing video game, reading books. We do so many other 100 things. We'd keep an eye, not that we wouldn't keep an eye, but and sometimes, when Swamiji, Guruji is going to people's home for Bhiksha, then they're waiting, then they get distracted, they'll do this, they'll do that. Then we turn up there and then they're like, oh! And then they go running for the Aarti Tali, running for this thing, running for that thing. Especially in today's world, because he was supposed to phone while we were in the car that we are almost there. When we were happily talking, he didn't ring. Then they are doing something, all relaxed. Not Shabri. Shabri sat with absolute attentiveness, waiting years and years and years and years. Time also worked a bit differently in those days. Would be the equivalent to our 40 years. She waited for Ramchandraji to come. She had gotten so old that the description that's given is that there's now cataract over her eyes, which means she can't see so clearly. So she would be looking with even more concentration. And when Ramchandraji and Lakshman actually come, she sees a very blurred figure of them. But in her heart, she knows it's them. Because she is tuned and that tapas of single-pointedly focusing had awakened so much spiritual potency within her that she recognized Ramchandraji without her physical eyes and the description that Guru Matanga brings. And when he comes, the way to receive a saint is the first thing you do is you wash their feet before they even enter the house. And she gets up to greet him, to bring him into the ashram, and she starts crying out of remembrance of her Guru. That Guru said he'll come, and look, he has come. And this is why I'm here, and this to give his message. And also because Guru gave me this job, here I am being able to see Bhagwan himself. And then this was what Guru gave me, that Bhagwan himself has come to me And then filled with that love, there's just tears are just falling from her eyes. And she's holding on to Ramchandraji's feet. And those tears have washed away all the dust from his feet, from him walking on that sandy path leading up to the ashram. And so Shabri didn't know that she had to wash his feet, but so pure is her heart that she did it with her own tears without any intention of doing it, but it still happened. And then she makes him sit and she gives him the water and she gives him the bowl. And this is the bit of the story that absolutely everybody knows, even if they don't know any other bit of the story. They know that when she gives the bowl of boar, which is the fruit, it's like a berry, similar to a berry, right? Lakshman sees all these bites in it, and Lakshman is like, what is that? How dare she give something like that to Ramchandraji? And Lakshman, Lakshman is Lakshman, and so he is about to scream, and Ramchandraji immediately puts one in his mouth and looks at Lakshman. So now he can't scream because Ramchandraji has already put it in his mouth. Because Lakshman was going to say, how dare you give such a thing to them? But by the time he digested that it was bitten, and by the time he got the words to his mouth, Ramchandraji had already put it in his mouth. And Lakshman is surprised that Ramchandraji is eating something that has already been eaten. And because she's got the cataract, she couldn't see Lakshman's expressions. And because she's so focused on Ramchandraji, she didn't notice Lakshman's expression. And Ramchandraji is praising. It's so sweet. And then this motherly figure of Shabri, she takes the bowl and she offers it to Lakshman because somebody else is there. You can't just ignore them. You offer them as well, right? And Lakshman's like, I'm not eating that. So he says, no, thank you. But then as a mother, you're like, but why? You'll be hungry too. You've come from so far. Drink something, eat something. Like there's enough. Don't feel like there isn't enough. There's enough for both of you. Ramchandraji, I wouldn't not give him, please. So she's not understanding why he's not eating it because Ramchandraji ate it. And then Ramchandraji sees her love. And so he eats one. And then he gives it to Lakshman to eat. And now because Ramchandraji is giving it to Lakshman, he has to accept it. And cheeky version of the story is that after Lakshman tasted the first one, it really is so sweet that Lakshman takes the bowl from Ramchandraji and eats the rest. But of course, Lakshman would never do that. Lakshman is there to serve Ramchandraji, but it's just to show that what she collected really was filled with so much love that it had that sweetness even as a fruit. And this is what this bit is, that her love that she tasted it makes her forgivable, that she broke one of the rules of what somebody who was highly educated would know. Like it didn't matter because her love overshadowed everything else. You have to see that she waited 40 years. You have to see that she cleaned every single day. You have to see that she had that faith. You have to see, like when you say that love will overtake, she really did. The love really was so consistent, so pure, so deep. And then she says, this is the message that you now have to go in. Well, it was still south. It was definitely still south. And you will meet Sugriv. And then she said, I don't know how else I'm supposed to respect you. And so again, she starts tearing up. She says, so please forgive me. If my guru was here, he would have known what to do now. He would have known all the right procedures. He would have known all the mantras. But I don't know. I don't know any of it. So, please forgive me. Actually, the next step of when a saint or Bhagwan comes is that you praise them. So what Ramchandraji does is he praises her and he teaches the Navida Bhakti. And so he says how to have more devotion. He gives these 9 steps of how to have more devotion. And then he ends with saying, and you, Shabri, have all 9. And we've done this section as a separate section, so I'm not going to go into the 9 steps, but Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vandanam, Padasevanam are things that we're doing all the time. Just Seva is one of the steps. Opportunities get created where we can. So Shravanam is to listen, which we're doing right now. Kirtanam is to sing. We don't do as much as I'd like to. But today with Spotify, you can sing along with all the bhajans all day long. And Vandanam is to pray. Maybe this is the one we can hold on to, that we can take as homework. It's to praise. Even in Christianity, in the church, right? Praise be the Lord. How do we praise? By speech. But also by keeping them in our thoughts with respect and reverence. So something like when pop stars or musicians, actors, and then you see their pictures just everywhere. And that's one way of praising them. They are so popular that their pictures are everywhere. In today's world, it's advertising that their pictures are everywhere. But even then, the advertising only works if people like them. My generation, we used to buy their pictures to put it up, no? Now that's really praise, because you have to go and buy. But today also, T-shirts are made and mugs are made and phone covers are made and so much merchandise made, and people buy. People really, really buy so much of this last one was this Taylor Swift, right? After, I think, the biggest at the moment. But that one girl I met, she had the T-shirt, then she had the sweatshirt also. And I was like, but it's exactly the same picture. It's exactly the same color. And she said, yeah, but I can't wear the sweatshirt if it's hot. And I can't wear the T-shirt if it's cold. So I have to have both. This is high praise to Taylor Swift. So much love that you have exactly the same in long sleeve and in short sleeve. Right? How do we praise Bhagwan? It doesn't have to be T-shirt and sweatshirt. But what are we doing? Like when she wears Taylor Swift's T-shirt and sweatshirt, she's being ambassador? What is it? Fan? It's her glorifying, right? How are we glorifying? So I wear orange, so I am glorifying. What can you do? What can you do that depicts your love, your reverence, your commitment, where you are glorifying? That's this week's homework. So Ramchandraji blesses Shabri. And because what she was meant to do, she has done, Shabri can now leave. She stayed alive to fulfill Guru's instruction. This section's really sweet to think about. When do we die? We won't be able to until we finish what we're supposed to finish. Sometimes we hear these really nice stories of maybe a parent or a grandparent, and they're very ill and they're in the hospital and it's getting from bad to worse, and then the child or the grandchild has flown in from somewhere. And they spend the night. The next morning, the person dies. It's like complete. They can go. I'm sure you've heard so many stories. They were just waiting for baby to be born. They were just waiting for wedding to happen. They were just waiting for, and it will always be something to do with people. It will never be that your bank balance reaches this many thousands. It just will never have to do with money. So and so borrowed money, they won't die till the person gives back the money. That's it. You'll never hear such a story. The story will always be baby, wedding, loved one has to come and visit after so many years, graduation. Especially those people who want themselves educated. Now they look forward to that kid getting graduated. And sometimes we worry unnecessarily about death. When we do die, even though it might seem sudden, even though most likely it will be unexpected, often I hear them, people say, especially when younger people die, they still had so much to do. They still had a full life to live. No, they had nothing else to do. Otherwise, they wouldn't go. And I've even heard people say to me, but he wanted to go. He was looking forward to maybe some holiday or maybe some relationship or maybe a career path. Conscious mind. Desire leads to desire. Conscious mind will have desire. Having desire is not indication of purpose. Purpose was fulfilled. Then we go. There's no need to loiter. Even when we go somewhere to work, finished work, come back home. Or you don't stay at work afterwards. Or even holiday, you go see something. Then it's done. Even ashram, the camp is over. You all go back home. Sometimes you're loiter. I have to push you back home. If we understand while we are sitting here in this peaceful frame of mind, that when death does come, it's a sign to us that purpose is fulfilled. Not desire. Desire though is never ending. Purpose. They were ready. We'll also be ready. There's a little bit more peace in accepting death that way. We'll pause here for today. Any questions? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Dachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Hari Om